Would it make OP the jerk if they told their cousin the real reason why their parents don't talk to each other? We'll get into that story shortly, but first, am I the jerk for asking my girlfriend to dress more sensibly on a walk? My girlfriend and I, both 30, go on this trail by the river sometimes. It's about an hour each way, and most people are in casual or sporty clothes. The first time we did it, she wore a maxi skirt and high heels, and I felt like it was really out of place. I told her after the last time that next time she should dress more sensibly. She claimed it was fine, but it really is out of place, and even if she won't admit it, she definitely struggles, particularly at the end of the trail where it's not paved. Everyone looks at her, and she even gets a few comments, especially about the shoes, so I wonder if she does it for attention. We went again recently, and she showed up in the same type of outfit. Long skirt, heels clicking on the ground, makeup done like we were going to dinner instead of a walk. I felt embarrassed walking next to her because everyone else was in athletic clothes and she stood out. I reminded her that I had already asked her not to dress like that for this specific activity. She told me I was being controlling and that she can wear whatever she wants. I feel like she's deliberately ignoring what I said, but at the same time, I do think it's unreasonable to expect her to fit the setting. Am I the jerk for saying something? Let her wear what she wants. You're both adults. If she wants to dress that way for walks, that is her prerogative and her right to do so. And if you have a problem with that, you don't either A, have to walk with her, or you don't have to date her anymore if it bothers you that much. So I'm going to go with a good, strong white to start this one off. Summit Junkie 7 posted, "She's been on this walk before. She knows what the experience will be like in these clothes. She chooses to wear them. The pros outweigh the cons for her, and that's her choice. If she was getting hurt or making her clothing choices your problem by, say, taking your jacket to keep warm and leaving you cold, or asking you to carry her, then you'd have a place to say something. Even then, it wouldn't be, you must wear this. It would be, please wear or bring what you need because I will not be giving up my jacket or carrying you. Your issue is that you're embarrassed. You talk about what everyone else is wearing, how others are reacting. Find a way to get over it and love your girlfriend for who she is, including her style choices, or move on and let her find someone that likes her and doesn't find her embarrassing. You're the jerk." Also, hey everybody, my name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Am I the Jerk videos, it'd be awesome if you liked the video or commented down below if you're listening to our podcast. Now then, our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to leave my apartment for a day because of my Muslim roommate's conservative mom? Throwaway because my roommates know my main account. So I, 23-year-old male, live in a college apartment with 2 roommates, both of which are women, and one of them is Muslim. Let's call her Sana. We all get along pretty well and have lived together for over a year with no issues. Yesterday, Sana told us her mom was visiting for the upcoming weekend. For info, her mom is very conservative and religious, and apparently doesn't approve of her daughter living with male roommates. Awkward, because I exist. As a result, Sana asked if I could leave the apartment entirely for the day her mom was visiting. Like, be out the whole day and even find somewhere else to sleep overnight. I told her I wasn't comfortable with that because I had a major assignment due, and I best focus when I'm working from home. I also didn't want to have to pack up all my stuff and go stay somewhere else just to keep up an appearance for someone I don't even know. Additionally, I pay equal rent and felt like I had a right to be in the apartment. Still, to try and compromise, I offered to stay in my room the entire day and be quiet, or not come out at all, on the condition that I'd at least be allowed to quickly come out to make lunch or dinner, or they could just bring food to my room so I wouldn't starve. I genuinely thought that was fair and respectful. But no, Sana wasn't happy with that and insisted I should be out of the apartment entirely. She said her mom would freak out if she found out a guy lived there, and it would cause a lot of drama in her family. I said, while I understand her position, I wasn't going to dip from my own home, especially with a big deadline hanging over me. She's still ticked and being pretty cold toward me now, and also vented to our other roommate, who stayed neutral and said she saw both sides. I really wasn't trying to be difficult or disrespectful. I understand her cultural situation, but I also feel like it's unfair to expect someone to completely vacate their home just to accommodate someone else's family beliefs, especially when I tried to find a middle ground. So, am I the jerk? Edit. Sana never chose to have male roommates, but it just so happened that she was practically bullied out of her old apartment, all female, for a conflict involving another girl, and this was her last resort. Also, I'm so disheartened to see so much hate in the comments, and it's enlightened me to be kinder and more understanding to Sana and her situation. This was never meant to start a debate in the comments, and I urge everyone to have more empathy and humanity. I will also be going home and asking a friend if I can stay over for a day. For everyone concerned about how if I let it bypass now that it will happen again and again, I will speak to Sana about this properly and urge her to talk to her mom. Thank you for all the level-headed and empathetic comments I did get that helped me understand her perspective better, as I do care for her greatly and never want to hurt her if I can help it. One day isn't the end of the world, and if it helps her, I've realized I'd be happy to do it. I understand both sides of this. I think it's more a test of how good of friends you actually are, how far are you willing to go, just to make sure that, her familial potential problems coming down the pipe because of this are smoothed over and taken care of. So I'm going to go with not the jerk, but yeah, I would definitely reconsider just for one day. If you really consider this girl your friend, just do it. You know what I mean? Peaches47474 replied, "Tell Sana that if she pays for a hotel room, food delivery, and any extra costs, you will be happy to move out for a day." And Super Davy 1 added, "That was my first thought as well. I'm not coming out of pocket to help your lie. If it's worth it to you, I'll accommodate, but not at my expense." Our next story is, am I the jerk for not changing my annual backyard party plans for my boyfriend and his kids? I, 42-year-old female, have been hosting an end-of-summer party with my neighbors for years. It's always the same setup. Adults and kids come, we all celebrate together, and at some point, the kids go to sleep while the adults continue the evening. This year's plan was the same. I was going to bring my kids, 6 and 10 years old, inside to sleep at our home, which is right next to the backyard. From the balcony, there's both audio and visual access to the yard, and my kids also have a phone they can use to call me if needed. After putting them to bed, I plan to go back to the backyard for a little while longer to enjoy the evening with friends. I invited my boyfriend of 6 months, 46-year-old male, and his kids, 5 and 7 years old, to join us. He declined, saying he didn't feel comfortable leaving his kids to sleep at my place since they hadn't stayed there before. He also didn't like the idea of putting them to bed at my place while he stayed outside with me, or going to bed with them while I stayed outside. I told him I understand completely, and I didn't have a problem with him choosing not to come, but then he got upset and said that he and his kids weren't actually welcome at the party because of the way the party was set up. I explained that this party has been running for years with the same format, and it's not really something I can or want to change for one guest. My view is that guests can decide if the event works for them, and if not, they don't have to come. In his opinion, I should have left the party with him and our kids when it was bedtime. On top of that, during the party, I didn't have time to call him because I wanted to focus on my guests and enjoy the evening. He was very hurt by this too, saying I should have made time. This all turned into a big argument. So, am I the jerk for not changing the setup of a tradition and not calling during the party to accommodate my boyfriend and his kids? No, you're not the jerk here, OP. I mean, this 47-year-old man's acting like a teenager. I think you really need to consider moving on. It's been 6 months. This ain't working if he's acting like this. Scared Weather 1672 replied, "Not the jerk. He was testing the waters to see if he can control you, and now he's trying to manipulate you. You did nothing wrong." Introduction on N added, "Yep, I hope you see this, OP. He's making a weird demand to see if you'll change your traditions for him, and he's pretending he has something to be mad about to manipulate you. Not the jerk, but I hope you see through this manipulation, OP. This man sees relationships as power struggles, and he wants you to give up your power. Keep your eyes open for more moves like this." Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to live with a service dog? I, 26-year-old male, own my own home. It's a 5 bedrooms and way more space than I need. I came into the house due to a death in the family, and I've had it for about 2 years. I use 3 bedrooms, my room, my office, and my video game room. The other 2 rooms I rent out. One roommate I don't know very well and keeps to himself. The other roommate is a friend from college. The friend from college is a diabetic. He has a CGM, and that's how he manages it. I honestly don't know much more about his condition and don't pry as it's not my business. He recently informed me that he's getting a service dog that alerts for his diabetes. He's supposed to get the dog next week. I do not want to live with the dog. I don't like them. I told him he can break his lease for a new place, but he can't have the dog in my house. Until this, it's been overall smooth sailing as roommates. He's angry with me and supposedly looking into ways to make me accept the dog. He had a good situation at my house. He told me I'm a jerk for basically kicking him out because he's disabled. Am I the jerk? I've said this many times on the channel before, and I'll say it one more time. Your house, your rules, even though it seems cruel and inconsiderate of your roommate. Ultimately, if you don't want it, you have the right to put your foot down. And I understand why he's angry, but it might be time to just find a new living situation. Miserable Ad 561 replied, "The number of people who don't understand that FHA doesn't apply here because you live in a unit is honestly crazy to me. The only way FHA applies here is if you own 5 or more units. Otherwise, no, you do not need to accommodate the service dog because the unit is owner-occupied. Not the jerk. This is just kind of an unfortunate scenario for you and your roommate. Ideally, you would be okay with living with the service dog, but what if you had allergies or some other condition preventing you from living with the dog? Anyway, I'd make sure to give him a reasonable amount of time to move out if it comes to that. It wouldn't hurt to consult with a lawyer before doing anything. People need to brush up on FHA laws before immediately jumping the bandwagon." Late Resource 1653 added, "This needs to be much higher. I worked in mental health for over a decade and helped a lot of patients get their emotional support animal letters from their therapists and doctors. I have my own mental health diagnoses and have my own letter for my cats. They truly help with my anxiety, depression, and CPTSD. Having that letter means I can live in apartments that are typically no pets, and I don't have to pay pet deposits or monthly pet rent under FHA regulations, which my county is really big on. However, this law would not apply if I was living in someone else's home with them. Laws vary by state, but the 5-unit minimum is fairly typical, and it must be a unit, not a room in the owner's house. You have every right to say I like living with you, but not with dogs. I'll let you out of the lease early, but there won't be dogs here." Miserable Ad 561 posted, "Thank you. People are acting like OP is some evil slumlord with hundreds of units, evilly preventing their friend from getting a service dog. That's not the case here. He lives in the home. He'll be living with a service dog. The service dog is both a dog and medical equipment. These are not facts that exist in a vacuum. It's unfortunate, and honestly, since OP doesn't have a medical reason, anaphylactic allergies, PTSD regarding dogs, etc., one would hope that he would be more open to living with the service dog, but ultimately, he's not a jerk for not wanting to. In fact, I think the roommate is a little more in the wrong for only giving a week's notice about getting the service dog to begin with. It usually takes months, if not years, to get approved. So either they withheld that information for months or years, or the dog is not a service dog. Either way, a little scummy. The roommate is also perfectly capable of finding a home that would accommodate a service dog. Pretty much all apartments would have to accommodate the service dog under FHA laws, regardless of whether they allow pets or not. Anyway, I agree. Best path forward would be to allow the roommate to break the lease early and without penalty, and accept the fact that the friendship will be significantly affected by this. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to reimburse my friend for a chair that broke under me? I, female, 25 years old, was at a friend's house for a game night this past weekend with a group of about 6. Everyone brought food and drinks, and we were having a good time, when about halfway through the night I got up to use the bathroom. When I came back, I saw that one of the girls had moved from a chair to the side to my space on the couch. This didn't bug me as people shuffle around in groups, so whatever. The chair was an antique wooden chair that sat a bit lower to the ground with an added back and butt cushion. When I sat down, it immediately broke, sending me to the ground with the seat under me and the arm frames falling to the side. Everyone got quiet for a second before jumping up to help me. I wasn't hurt, just very embarrassed. For context, I'm a bigger girl, about 260 pounds at 5 foot 7 inches. My friend, female, 27 years old, was very gracious and nice about it when it happened, accepting my apologies and telling me not to worry. Her boyfriend, male, 29 years old, said that the chair was his grandmother's and it's fallen apart before and he was able to repair it. I was ushered back to the couch and game night continued. Fast forward to the next morning. I received a text from my friend who let me know that the chair couldn't be put back together and that from her research it would cost about $250 to get a new one, but she'd let me know exactly how much when she found one. I was a bit taken aback and responded confused, asking why I would be expected to pay for a faulty chair. She said that while yes, on occasion the frames would become unattached and cause it to fall apart, but that's not what happened this time. She sent me pictures of the broken chair, particularly a bent support and 2 other broken supports. She said that the chair broke under my weight and couldn't be fixed, and since the chair was an antique from her boyfriend's late grandmother, she wanted a new one from him. I responded that the chair was very old and had a history of collapsing. If they were concerned about preserving it, they should have not had it out for people to use. And $250 plus for a chair I sat in for 1 second seems a bit ridiculous. At this point, she seemingly got frustrated and said that she loves me, but that I'm her, quote, biggest friend, and that it wouldn't have happened to anyone else. She said, quote, "It broke from your weight plopping down all at once, not because the frame was loose. I think it's only fair you reimburse us for the chair since you're responsible for breaking it." I'm still figuring out how to respond. I don't want to pay her for something I don't see as being completely my fault. I also think she's using the scenario to shame me about my weight a bit, which I find frustrating. My friends' opinions are mixed. A few are saying that I should just pay her and move on, even if it's not exactly my fault. One thinks it is my fault and I should pay up, and a few more think she's in the wrong for asking and I should continue to politely decline. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay? So I do see how there are divided opinions on this. I personally tend to lean more towards OP's side. Why was this old and beat up chair out for anyone to sit on, fully available, if there is a potential for this to happen, right? It's fallen apart before, it's broken before. And I think what really pushed me more pro OP in this situation was the body shaming comment at the end. That is just super rude. So regardless of the resolution, I don't know how you can rebound from this and be friends when she basically just body shamed you like that. Catsway9 replied, "If I broke something at a friend's house, I'd offer to pay for it. If a friend broke something at my house, I'd decline their offer to pay. I'm not sure which is correct, so I'm not passing judgment on who's the jerk. I agree that they shouldn't have had it out there where people could sit on it, especially since it had both sentimental and intrinsic value, and was not in good repair." LDIJ46 replied, "She didn't break something, she sat in a chair that wasn't safe and it collapsed. The host had no business putting that chair out at all because it wasn't safe." Our next story is, "Am I the jerk for calling out my friend who pretends he dropped out of our Ivy League university?" My friend, 22-year-old male, is a rising star in the startup world. He raised a significant round of venture capital money and has gone viral several times for his tech. He's also amassed a whole following of wannabe tech bros on LinkedIn and other spaces who admire him. The problem is him and his co-founder are both lying, calling themselves Ivy League dropouts, when they actually graduated. They're bragging about how they didn't need college to succeed, comparing themselves to Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, and influencing younger kids to drop out of school. In reality, they built their startup on the back of our school's generous resources. All their early financial support and access to tech has come from our school's startup incubator and tech labs, and they did graduate. I walked across the stage with them in May and watched them get their diplomas, but now they're online bragging about how they're Ivy League dropouts because they took a semester off 2 years ago to focus on their startup. So I called them out on social media and said my friend is lying to his fans and promoting anti-education nonsense, when he actually built his whole startup off of our college's resources. That ignited a whole social media crapstorm of people arguing on my friend's page. And he's since been saying that I'm just jealous of him and that it's inconsequential whether he dropped out or not. Am I the jerk? Well, I'm not even going to answer that. I'm just going to ask a counter question. If it's inconsequential whether or not you dropped out of school, why are you telling the lie? Just let that one sit for a couple seconds. Fawn Dacey commented, "Unfortunately, the hallmark of the privilege that usually gets you into an Ivy, denying the advantages you got to make it sound like you had to struggle when there is no real struggle." Our next story is, "Am I the jerk for refusing to watch my autistic friend's show recommendation? I, 21-year-old female, have an autistic best friend that I've known since we were in the second grade, 21-year-old male. I have ADHD, so when we were younger, we were like the only friend that the other had on account of our respective conditions, making us quite an acquired taste. Recently, I've graduated from college while he's still in college, and I live at my own apartment while he still lives with his parents for free. Sometimes I worry that our maturity levels are just different now, because I feel like his pettiness comes out at the weirdest times. So, there's a somewhat popular show that he's obsessed with. He sends memes in the friend group chat about it, talks about it nonstop, etc. Without revealing the show, it's something I would never organically watch, which I told him politely when he recommended it to me. I thought he would just be like, okay, that's fine, but he got extremely offended and kept wheedling me to watch it. I still politely resisted. One day while we were hanging out, I hovered over a YouTuber I really like, and when he asked, I admitted I was a huge fan. So he went out of his way to talk bad about the YouTuber and basically make fun of my tastes. When I called him out for his random, malicious behavior, he admitted it's because I won't watch his show. I'm so confused. Why is he being such a petty person about this? Should I just watch the show even though I doubt I'd enjoy it, or just confront him? Am I the jerk here? I don't know, I don't see any harm in maybe watching one episode, but just, cold turkey denying it. Honestly, I have a family member that for the longest time just had this stigma built into his head that he doesn't like any kind of medieval, whimsical shows like that with dragons and knights and all of that kind of stuff, and he gave Game of Thrones a chance, and now Game of Thrones is his favorite show of all time. So just give it a shot. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but just humor your friend because it's clearly upsetting him. Rubric Golf commented, I commented this as a response to someone, but I'm seeing a lot of comments saying the same thing. Women do not need to placate men when they're not capable of controlling their emotions. She told him she doesn't want to watch the show. There were no social cues to miss. He got offended and upset that she didn't do what he wanted. There's no reason for her to give in to his demands and watch the show just because he's acting like a controlling jerk. This behavior is based on misogyny and has nothing to do with him being autistic. Not the jerk. Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking my girlfriend to tell me what flavor of smoothie she wanted? I, 24-year-old male, stopped on my way home to pick up a smoothie for my 23-year-old female girlfriend, Evangeline. She's pregnant and is craving smoothies, so I thought it would be a nice surprise for her. She always drinks the strawberry banana smoothie, so that's what I got for her. But when I got home and gave it to her, she didn't want it. She said that she doesn't feel like bananas, and asked me to get her a different flavor. I asked her what kind she wanted, and she said she didn't know. I told her that I need to know the flavor. Evangeline said, just get me what I like, and I told her that I don't know what flavor she likes other than strawberry banana. She started to get frustrated and said that I know the other one she likes. I have zero clue. She's never asked me for anything other than strawberry banana. I repeated myself multiple times that I don't know what she wants, and she started to cry and said that I was pressuring her too much over a smoothie. She's been in a bad mood ever since, has barely spoken to me all evening. Am I the jerk for asking my girlfriend to tell me what flavor of smoothie she wanted? No, you're not the jerk, but I will also say those pregnancy hormones are a very, very real thing. Anyone that's been in this situation before, with a girlfriend, wife, etc., can back me up on this, but my goodness gracious, yeah, that just sounds like pregnancy hormones coming out in full force. But no, not the jerk. No one's the jerk here. Where were the adults added? Not the jerk. This sounds like pregnancy hormones in action. Lots of changes going on, and her tastes change accordingly. I would suggest a different approach. You went with the, I don't know, tell me approach. That puts pressure on her. You could try, let me open the menu and see if we can find something you like. The pickles and ice cream craving is not a myth. Pickles are a good source of electrolytes, and ice cream has fat and calcium, things she needs. So be prepared for her to ask for strange combinations. When she does, go get them. She's working on making a healthy human, and she needs the basic ingredients. Did J. Joder Loco posted, when I was pregnant with my first child, my brain would shut down whenever I got asked what I wanted. All I knew was I wanted to eat now, and I only knew what I didn't want. My husband would keep asking what I wanted, and I hated it so much, and he got frustrated that I wouldn't give him a straight answer. Being pregnant sucks for everyone involved. Our next story is, am I the jerk because I won't let my partner set 17 alarms every morning? Every single morning, my partner sets like 17 alarms starting at 6 a.m. I don't need to be up until 8. The alarms go off every 5 minutes. They snooze them all, then roll over and go back to sleep instantly while I'm lying there wide awake reconsidering my life choices. This morning I grabbed their phone and turned off the last 10 alarms. They woke up late, got mad, and said I sabotaged their system. Am I the jerk? I just think that there's a compatibility issue here. I mean, for me personally, one of the instant deal breakers is like anything that disrupts my sleep. I have to get my sleep, and anything other than like a baby or something like that. Of course, you make exceptions, but like if it's just the two of you and they're waking you up at all hours of the morning and you're grumpy as a result, this is only going to snowball from here on out. So I would say not the jerk, but, also might want to, like you said, reconsider your life choices. Tosser9212 replied, not the jerk. Someone who needs 17 alarms doesn't have a system. They have a problem, and they're making it yours. Instead of lying there wide awake reconsidering your life choices, try reconsidering their life choices. They can choose 17 alarms and peaceful existence without you, or some self-discipline and 1, maybe 2 alarms. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my cousin the reason why our parents don't talk to each other? I, 22-year-old male, grew up with no contact whatsoever with my dad's brother and his wife. They were estranged before I was even born, and it's not like I had many chances to interact with them because they moved to the UK when I was little. But I did connect with my cousins on socials over the years, and we talked a few times. So I planned a trip to London with my girlfriend and got the chance to meet one of my cousins, 21-year-old male, in person. And we were out for drinks and we were having fun. But at some point, he approached the subject of why my dad and his dad don't talk. And that's the first time I realized I really didn't know the reason. He was clueless. And the reason was, my dad had dated my cousin's mom before she dated his dad. So my dad felt betrayed when his own brother made a move on his ex. They weren't together anymore. They were young back then. I don't judge any of them for how they felt or behaved. I wasn't saying anything bad whatsoever about my uncle and his wife. I was just sharing what I knew, but my cousin got really shocked after I told the news and excused himself to go to the bathroom, and my girlfriend gave me an earful for even saying anything because he says it wasn't my place. We didn't talk about it for the rest of the night, but I texted him the next day asking if he was upset, and he told me I shouldn't have dropped a bomb like that when we were just meeting up for the first time and both drunk. I said I only talked about it because he brought the subject up. What was I supposed to do? I mean, he asked a question that most likely is not going to have a happy answer, and you gave that answer, so no, not the jerk, that's on him to figure out and get over. And Stareye commented, theoretically, sure, the most ultra-sensitive thing to do would have been to tell him, hey, let's talk about that tomorrow when we're both sober. Realistically, though, anyone who's asking why two brothers haven't spoken in decades and expecting a light and cheery answer is a dodo, not the jerk. Yesterday's Similar 2069 added, yes, that was heavy subject matter, and he'd probably been wanting to ask about it since he realized OP existed. I think the guy just wasn't expecting it to come out like his dad broke the ultimate bro code. That's a shocking thing to learn. Also, it may be time for your dads to suck it up. 20 years of being butthurt is a long time, even if it was due to one brother dating the other brother's ex. I gotta wonder if OP's dad gave him the PG version and if there was a lot of toxicity prior to the breach, along with actual girlfriend stealing. You didn't do anything wrong, OP. Maybe you were a little too loose and it didn't occur to you how upsetting and shocking that would be to learn as an adult man with no prior knowledge of it. Just an edit to clarify a statement I made so the harpies that keep replying to shame me for my clear misogyny and rampant hate of women. I was making a joke about him breaking the bro code. That's exactly how the fathers would have seen it, and they're brothers. Pun, poking fun at toxic masculinity. It's also why the cousin reacted the way he did. It's a scandalous thing to learn, even if it's not actually that big a deal to anyone after you to sit with it for a minute. My bad. I'm sorry that my tongue-in-cheek commentary was a big old whoosh for some of us. I don't really take Am I the Jerk very seriously, as there's a lot of toxic bickering and people who try to pick a problem to have with others in the comments. It's really not that deep, I promise. I like women. I like men. We're all just people struggling with our programmed prejudices, misconceptions, biases, and fears. There are enough rage-out replies below my comment that I'm not going to not edit out the bit about the bro code. I don't want it to be confusion when people do read through the comments later. Okay, everybody, that is all the time we got for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and comment down below, and if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. I got nothing else for you. I will see you all next time.